Okay, now that we've had this solid base of mitosis, okay, there's a reason we have spent so much time on it, and we've sang songs, we've done things, okay, to reiterate those steps, because as we work through meiosis, okay, as we make that step to meiosis, you're going to find a lot of similarities and you're going to find some differences, okay? So as you do that, okay, and as we talk about meiosis, I want you to constantly in the back of your head, okay, what are the similarities, what are the differences? Because that's your third learning target up there. I can recognize differences in mitosis and meiosis and how they fit with asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay, now we've already said that mitosis is a type of asexual reproduction, and we said that yesterday. Okay, so that tells us right off the bat that meiosis is a type of sexual reproduction. Okay, and I know we can maturely talk about this. Okay, as I see some of the smiles and grins on your face. Okay, all right, so the first thing we need to talk about and we need to recognize is meiosis and mitosis produce two different types of cells. Okay, they produce two different types of cells. So as we look at those two types of cells that are produced, the first type of cell that we're going to talk about is a diploid cell. Okay, and a diploid cell is when they have pairs of similar chromosomes. Excuse me. So that's a diploid cell is when they have cells of that include pairs of chromosomes. Now, second hour got a chuckle because it sounds like diploid. It sounds like you're insulting somebody. Diploid, okay? You diploid. But it's not meant as an insult, okay? So we can laugh and chuckle about that. But the key is that di, that word di means two, okay? All right. Johnny, I'm recognizing that you've moved, okay? If you continue to be a behavior problem and I see, I'm going to have you move back, okay? This is a one-day only thing. Tomorrow you need to return to your assigned seat, okay? All right, now an example and where you can find diploid cells. Everybody is a diploid in a sense, okay? Our body cells. Your body cells have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Do the math. If they have 23 pairs of chromosomes and they have how many total? 46. That number, that makes you a human. Okay? Different types of animals have different amounts of pairs. Okay? And that's what makes you a human, is the amount of pairs of chromosomes within your body cells or your skin cells. Okay? So that's a diploid cell. Now, the other type of cell doesn't sound as much of an insult, okay? The other type of cell is called a haploid cell, okay? It's called a haploid cell, okay? And those are the cells that do not have pairs of chromosomes, okay? They don't have pairs or of similar chromosomes. And your example, okay, the sex cells all have 23 chromosomes, so they are not in pairs. And if you think about it, and we talked about this maturely the other day, okay, you don't get one whole cell from dad, you don't get one whole cell from mom, you get half of a cell from dad and half of a cell from mom, no matter how much you love or hate mom or love or hate dad. It's one of those things you just don't have that choice. Okay? Now there are some things, and as we get into genetics, there are some things that we're going to talk about that, yes, you inherit from mom and dad, whether you like it or not. But there are some things that you learn as well, and you can be learned, and we'll talk briefly about those too. Okay? But as we talk about this, that's your two haploid cells, one haploid from mom, one haploid from dad, are coming together. When you've got two haploid cells, what do you think that makes?
A diploid.
A diploid, good. Okay, so we're starting to see the connection. All right, now, let's just draw a random mark in there. Okay? Now, as we look, my next question to you, as you know now the definition of these two cells. Let me move this little buddy. Okay? Which cell do you think is formed during mitosis? And this is a question in your notes. Which of these cells do you think is formed? A diploid or a haploid? Let me see a show of hands. How many of you think diploid is made during mitosis? How many of you think haploid? Ooh, we're about half and half there. Okay? A diploid is in fact made during mitosis. All right, so a diploid is made during mitosis, and that goes, okay, for mitosis. So knowing that meiosis is a little different, and we have to recognize the differences and the similarities, okay, what can you probably tell me about meiosis? What types of cells are going to be produced during meiosis? Michael? Haploid cells, good. So as you look at that next part of your notes where it says what type of cell is produced, okay, all right, so in meiosis you should answer that question. It produces haploid cells. Okay, now going back and just reiterating what I said earlier. Okay, when a new organism is created, so that means when you were created, okay, two sex cells or haploid cells come together. Okay, they make a body cell, which is what you started as. Okay, they make a body cell, which is also known as a diploid cell. Okay. So we don't need to get into all the nitty-gritty details. Okay? Don't need to get into all the nitty-gritty details. All you need to know is two haploid cells came together, made a diploid. Okay? It's okay to have a sense of humor about it. But that's where we're going to leave it in this discussion. Okay? Okay? All right. With that being said, okay, looking at your notes and just making sure you're on the same page that I'm on. As you look at that top part of your notes, you should have all of your blanks filled in up until where it says during meiosis. So we're just above those boxes. So make sure you're with me. Everybody good? Yeah? Okay. All right. So as you are with me, let's talk about a couple other differences that we have in meiosis and mitosis as you glance over at your mitosis notes. Okay? The cell membrane divides, right? Okay, how many times does the cell membrane divide?
2 times.
Now it divides into 2 cells, but how many times, looking at your pictures, how many times does the cell membrane actually divide?
48 times.
Look at that cell membrane. Look at the picture. Okay, look at your cell membrane as it travels on down through all of the steps. Okay, look from interphase to prophase. Does it divide? Okay, from prophase to metaphase, does that cell membrane divide?